One of the hardest things about sport isn't the training. It isn't the competition. It isn't even the losses. It's the uncertainty. Because when you're a young athlete, you have no idea how good you will become, and neither does anyone else. That's what makes sport so difficult. Imagine if every time you trained, you immediately got a reward. You lifted weights and instantly got stronger. You practiced shooting and immediately became more accurate. You sprinted and instantly became faster. Most people would never quit, but that's not how sport works. The feedback loop is painfully slow. You can train consistently for 6 months and barely notice a difference. You can spend an entire summer doing everything right and then improve by a fraction of a second. You can practice every week and still make the same mistakes on game day. And because the rewards come so slowly, many athletes start asking themselves a dangerous question. Is this even working? And that's where most people quit. Not because they lack talent, not because they lack potential, but because they can't see the result yet. Humans are wired to keep doing things that produce immediate rewards. We eat food, we feel full, we spend money and get something in return. We press a button and something happens. But sport doesn't work like that. Sport asks you to invest months and years before showing you what that investment was worth. And that's uncomfortable, because nobody can guarantee you the outcome. Nobody can tell a young player that they'll become a professional or even a semi-professional. No one can tell a 14-year-old they'll become a national athlete. The future remains hidden, and that's why so many athletes leave the game too early. They assume that because they aren't exceptional today, that they never will be. They mistake their current level for their potential. But athletic development is not linear. Some athletes improve quickly and then stop. Others appear average for years and then suddenly break through. Some mature physically at 12. Others don't mature until they're 15, 16, 17, or even 18. Some find confidence very early. Others discover it much later. The truth is that nobody knows where their ceiling is. Not coaches, not parents, not teammates, and certainly not the athlete themselves. Which means quitting early is always a gamble, because when you quit, you're making a decision based on incomplete information. You're deciding what your future would have been without even giving yourself a chance to find out. The athletes who eventually achieve extraordinary things aren't always the most talented. Often they're the ones who stayed around long enough for the results to arrive. Long enough to learn, long enough to grow, long enough to discover what they were actually capable of. That's why the goal shouldn't be to prove you're special. The goal is to simply stay in the game, keep showing up, keep learning, keep improving, keep chipping away. Because the athlete you become in 5 years will look nothing like the athlete that you are today. And the only way to find out is to not quit before the feedback arrives. The biggest mistake in youth sport made by coaches, parents, and the athletes themselves is assuming that your current level is your potential. The feedback loop is slow. Stay in the game long enough to find out who you can become.